Arsenal respond after Newcastle United reject £55 million bid for Bruno Guimaraes. Arsenal ready to submit an improved offer for Bruno Guimaraes after their £55 million bid was rejected by Newcastle United, according to reports in Brazil. Mikel Arteta is looking to add a new central midfielder to his squad this summer, and he guided Arsenal to the Premier League title last season. Arsenal have Bournemouth's Alex Scott, Newcastle's Sandro Tonali, and West Ham's Matheus Fernandes on their midfield shortlist. However, Globo reports that Arsenal sporting director Andrea Berta is leading the club's negotiations to sign Guimaraes from Newcastle. The report claims that Arsenal's opening £55 million bid has been turned down by Newcastle, but the Premier League champions have already indicated that they will return with a second offer. Berta tried to sign Guimaraes during his time at Atletico Madrid in 2020, but the Brazilian midfielder ended up joining Lyon from Atlético Paranaense. 2 years later, Newcastle signed Guimaraes from Lyon for £40 million, and the 28-year-old has established himself as a key figure in Eddie Howe's side. Guimaraes has also started in all 3 of Brazil's group games at the World Cup and has provided 3 assists during the tournament. Meanwhile, Chronicle Live reports that Newcastle have no intention of selling Guimaraes to Arsenal this summer, and their opening stance to the Gunners is that the midfielder is not for sale. Newcastle already face the prospect of losing Tonali, as Spurs have tabled a £75 million bid for the Italy international. Roberto De Zerbi is a huge admirer of Tonali and has identified him as a key part of his midfield rebuild at Spurs. It has been a relatively quiet start to the transfer window for Arsenal. Piero Hincapié's loan move has been made permanent as expected, but otherwise there's been little in the way of either new faces or significant departures. That is no surprise in a World Cup summer, and will certainly change in the weeks ahead, with Arsenal set to be active in the window. Despite the lack of substantial business so far, Andrea Berta's tactic of casting the net wide before narrowing down his top targets means that speculation has not been in short supply. Bruno Guimaraes is the latest to be linked with a move to North London this summer. Arsenal have inquired about his availability, and initial talks with the player's representatives have been held. While Newcastle have insisted the midfielder is not available, it has been claimed in the Brazilian media that the Gunners approached the Magpies with an offer of around £55 million. Arsenal are looking to sign a midfielder this summer, and Mikel Arteta places a high value on signing players already in the Premier League, minimising any adaptation period. Guimaraes missed 6 Premier League matches due to a hamstring injury this season, that has otherwise been almost ever present for the Magpies over the past 4 years. Arsenal have been hit hard by injuries in recent years, and want players who are robust enough to deal with the demands of playing 60 matches a season across 4 competitions. Guimaraes would offer that, and also raise the level of Arsenal's depth in midfield, which is a key focus this summer. Christian Norgard was not trusted by Arteta and played barely 100 minutes in the Premier League, and that had a knock-on effect on someone like Martin Zubimendi, who became increasingly exhausted through the campaign. Arsenal will listen to offers for Norgard this summer, and are keen to sign a midfielder who is not just a squad player, but can play alongside and genuinely compete with the likes of Rice and Zubimendi. Rice has been managing neural pain in his hamstring since December, and Arsenal are acutely aware of just how much he has put his body through. He will be given sufficient time off after the World Cup, particularly if England go deep in the tournament, and the Gunners are keen to ensure they have the midfield options next season to ensure Rice can be protected when required. That is something Guimaraes would offer. He has started all 3 of Brazil's World Cup matches and registered 3 assists in the group stage. Arteta was unwilling to use Norgard and waited until May to trust Miles Lewis Skelly. but Guimaraes is a player that he would be confident bringing into the starting lineup. He has the physicality that Arteta admires, would add more leadership qualities to the Arsenal squad, having captained Newcastle, and is a player Arsenal have long admired. The Gunners considered a move for him in January 2022, when he was at Lyon, that delayed a decision and Newcastle swooped in. That interest in him still remains. However, Guimaraes will turn 29 in November, and that must be a consideration for Arsenal as they consider how much to test Newcastle's resolve. Initial talks have been held with Lille over Hayao Bordi, and the 18-year-old would obviously retain his value far more than Guimaraes over the next few years. The Brazilian has 2 years left on his contract at Newcastle, and that does leave the Magpies with a decision to make this summer. However, particularly with Tottenham among the clubs in talks over a huge money move for Sandro Tonali, Newcastle are not looking to sell Guimaraes. That means Arsenal will need to spend big to test Newcastle's resolve. How much they are willing to do so will become clear in the coming weeks. Arsenal have made a verbal offer to sign Newcastle United midfielder Bruno Guimaraes. The proposal, which was communicated to Newcastle through intermediaries, was worth less than £60 million and has been rebuffed by the North East club.